bring truth, proof, no longer to hide. Generational turnaround, we're on the scene. Interviewing the wrong lead, convicted so keen that God knows, making choices astray. Preventing them from walking a dangerous way. The numbers of the youth, staggering it seems. Their belief in any means, even extreme. But we call upon God as our first reaction. Offering an alternative of divine attraction. Special disappear who been where they aspire. To detour them to show a path that's higher. A profitable outcome, pleasing to God's sight. Benefiting the 99%, shining a godly light. Generational turnaround, open doors wide for more people to thrive. No one left behind, seeking truth, unraveling the wild.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Generational Turnaround Podcast, where we seek the truth and then we bring you, my guests, the proof. And the proof comes from the guests that I invite. And why? Because they are professionals in their fields. And so today we have Robert B. Oh my God. Oh my God. I got a Frank. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Oh, Robert, please. I don't know what happened, but you know what? When Robert comes, he's gonna correct me in this era. Okay, so I must be nervous about something because I've been saying his name all day. So let me just bring him up here. Hold on. Wait a minute. Robert, please. Foster. Oh my God, I've been saying that all day. And all of a sudden I just got a brain freeze. Oh,
See,
so
as a live host myself, it's so funny because sometimes I'll forget to ask people how to pronounce their last names, and
oh
I'm like,
yeah.
"Welcome!" I'm like, oh no! And when you're live, there's nothing you can do about it but laugh and move on.
I know. And your name is a common name. I've
Yes,
heard some names that I didn't even try to pronounce. But that was not yo, there's nothing wrong with your name.
very true.
So before we go any further, Robert, I've got to give God the glory. I gotta pray us in, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude, knowing that every good and perfect gift comes from you. We desire to leave behind a legacy of faith that glorifies you and bless the generations that's coming after us. Teach us, oh God, to walk in your ways, to live a life that reflects your love, wisdom, and righteousness. And let our faith be more than words. Let it be an example, a light that guides those who come after us. And we got to pray for our children, our family, and all those that we are called to influence. So thank you, Lord. Thank you for everything that we've done, that we are about to do, and let who's ever the viewers that are watching, let them seek the truth and find the proof in whatever Robert is going to say. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, Robert, let me, before we go any further to what you're going to be saying, I'm going to give a little bio of you. And it's in my words, but it's it's really happening to you, but I did kind of dress it up a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
From being told he'll never run again to completing over 190 obstacle races and earning 16 gold medals in track and field. Robert B. Foster is living proof that grit, faith, and determination can rewrite any story. Robert's journey is nothing short of powerful. After overcoming a devastating knee injury, donating a kidney to his sister, and walking through the heartbreak of losing his father, he could have given up, but instead he rose. Now, a transformative speaker, author, and the powerhouse host of the podcast, Shut Up and Grind. Robin has interviewed over 300 guests who, like him, have beaten the odds. His mission to help people conquer self doubt, embrace their struggles, and unlock their God given potential. So, whether you're facing fear, stuck in your past, or unsure how to move forward, Robert's story and message will challenge you to take back your power and turn your pain into purpose. So get ready. All right, hold on. Wait a minute. We getting ready to start. And now I've said my part. Now I want Robert to tell you who he no, I want to know who he was before who he is now.
Geez, which iteration do you want? There's so many different directions I can take that.
I,
But
I want whatever you feel that will help my guest today.
all right, so let's take it from the very beginning. So when I was growing up, I had a bad stutter, right? I irony because I'm a speaker now. I'm a speaker and a podcast host. But I couldn't even say mom. It was like mama, mama. And I'm also the youngest of seven. So I got teased a lot, constantly getting teased from my friends in school, from my neighborhood friends, from my own siblings. Like it was awful. I never wanted to open up my mouth. I never wanted to talk at all. But I was always intrigued by motivational speakers. Now, back then, it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. But beyond that, my siblings and I, like, we were all athletes. But for whatever reason, I got the genetic short stick, right? So all of my siblings hit puberty right around when they should have. I hit it late. So to put it in perspective, as a freshman in high school, I was 5'4", 88 pounds. I was very, very small. My other brothers are over 6 foot tall. They're muscular. My dad's over 6 foot tall. And I'm watching them excel in their sports, which I loved watching them excel. It's like I wasn't mad at that. I was just like, what is wrong with me? It's like, how come they're all tall and strong and I'm over here short and scrawny and I can't do what they can do? Getting their names in the newspaper, their photos in the newspaper, winning trophies, medals, ribbons, plaques, MVPs, all state honors. And here I am just getting pushed around in everything that I tried to do. But my drive was there. I knew I wasn't going to be like this forever. So I just started studying the things that I wanted to do. But one pivotal moment that really still shaped who I am today. As that freshman, short and skinny, I went in to meet with the track and field coach, and I asked him for the record book. And he looked at me like that was the dumbest thing I could have asked him. He's like, why do you want the record book? And I said, oh, because I'm going to break the high jump record. And no word of a lie, he looked me up and down and said, "You don't have what it takes to be a high jumper. Why don't you go try hurdling?" And I was like, wow. Because at the time, my sister was killing it in the high jump, and it just looked like a fun event. And I'm like, no, like I want a high jump. And he's like, again, yeah, I don't think that's gonna be the best for you. He's like, why don't you go hurdle? I said, I'm gonna quit then. I was like, I have my heart set on doing the high jump. So he finally gave in and he let me do it. So now, granted, as a freshman, he might have been a little right because I wasn't that good. Right? It's like I wasn't that good. But again, it's like I was short. So I mean, there are some short of people who do crush it in the high jump, but they're like anomalies. Typically, your prototypical high jumper, they're kind of tall, they're kind of slender, and they have springs in their legs. So now we fast forward as a junior. Well, as a freshman, I think I high jumped 5 feet 4 inches, and on the boys' side, that's not great. Sophomore season, I was actually hurt for half the season, but when I came back, I just missed the states. I high jumped 5 feet 10 inches, so we're making progress. So now, between sophomore and junior season, I grew 6 inches. So finally, my genetics caught up to my drive, right? And so my brother, he used to write his triple jump records on his t-shirt, and little did he know I had a notepad writing them down. So that was my goal too. I was gonna erase his butt out of the record books. So I wanted all of those. So now that was my purpose. Like I was on a mission. I wasn't just competing for the sake of competing. Like I was on a mission. So junior year, I tied the high jump record. Senior year, I broke the high jump record. I broke the pentathlon record. Nearly broke the long jump record. I know nearly doesn't count, but I was less. I think it was a half an inch off of the long jump record, and I was an inch and a quarter off of the school triple jump record. But I broke the Southern Division triple jump record, and so now I held the high jump record for 21 years. I held the Southern Division triple jump record for 24 years. So that's from that moment on, that's what drives me.
That was it. That was it. That was all you needed to really reach for your purpose.
Yes.
And what school were you at?
So I'm in Rhode Island. I was at Charahoe High School.
Okay. And are you still there now?
I still live in the area, but I coached there two years ago. I coach track at a different school now.
Okay. What I am so wanting to know, shut up and grind. I mean, that sounds like I done heard all the excuses. I don't want to hear anymore. Shut up and grind. Can you elaborate on that title?
So growing up, my father, he was pretty strict with us. You know, like he wasn't mean or anything, but he was strict. Like he wanted the best out of us. Like he himself was a near Olympic athlete. If it wasn't for Vietnam, he would have gone to the Olympics. And so he had the drive, he had the work ethic, you know, he had the goal setting and vision, all of that stuff. And he did his best to instill that in all of us. So he was also an engineer, and he was a very, very smart man. Like he skipped 2 grades. He went from 5th grade to 7th grade and then 7th grade to 9th grade. So very, very smart man. And so as an engineer, he can build anything, absolutely anything. So we would watch him just working in the yard, and he would run into trouble doing things, and there was never any quit, never any give up. It was just like, all right, plan B, all right, plan C, all right, plan D. And he just kept tweaking the approach until he got his desired outcome. So growing up and watching that, he was like the originator of it, of that mentality. It's like either go to work and get it done, or just don't complain about your life, right? So I was born in New York City, in Brooklyn. So when we were there, my mom was pregnant with me. So I have no recollection of living in Brooklyn. And so while she was pregnant with me, their apartment in Brooklyn burned down. And so my family had to move into the projects in Queens, and my father wasn't having it. He's like, absolutely not. And he actually came up here to Rhode Island by himself, got a job building submarines for the military, and then like my mom would come up like a couple times a month to help him search for a house and all that. So we have a house. It's the house that I'm currently in now. It's like an acre and a half of land, rural area, great school system, friendly neighbors. It just the atmosphere itself was just amazing. And so once they found this house, they went back to New York, got all of us, and then we moved up here to Rhode Island. So he lived it long before I adopted it. So he's the one to really credit. I mean, like he never said those words, but his actions, depict that lifestyle.
And okay, so that's what made you decide to title your book "Shut Up and Grind"?
Yeah, so about maybe 15 years ago, there was a platform called Blog Talk Radio. I don't know if it's still a thing, but I had a show on there. I had just gotten into fitness. Like I left the restaurant industry and I got into fitness. And I had a show called Shut Up and Exercise because I was constantly telling my clients, like, just stop it and do the work. They're like,
Right.
close your, just put the work in. It's like you want the result, but you don't want to put the work in. Like if you just
Mhm.
stop talking and did the work, you'll get to where you want to be. And
That's
so
what
it
I'm
seems
that's
it
what
seems
I'm feeling when I'm
yes.
looking at your book in the back, and I'm seeing you coaching, and I'm seeing you uh you know giving all you got, teaching everything that you know, and they're still complaining. And you just say, shut up and grind.
Hmm.
That's simple. And
See,
so,
I do want to clarify though, quick before we move on, because the
okay.
shut up part isn't me really telling them to shut up. It's telling them to shut up the voices in their head that are
Yeah, yeah.
telling
Mhm.
them they're too tired. I can't get up early. I can't
Yes.
work after work. Like all the nonsense that people
The-
tell themselves
uh,
as to why they can't get ahead. They need to quiet those voices and focus on the
yes,
task at hand.
that's right. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be so blunt, but
No, it's okay.
I'm 68, so I come from the time where that would have been what you were told.
Yeah.
Just hush and let it happen naturally. It's in you already. And
Yes.
so now, I want to ask you some of the questions that I believe that would
Can I
give
can I expand on something that you just said? Because
yeah,
I think it's very important. You just said it yourself. It's already within you. And when I do a lot of these talks, I focus on that a lot because it's already in them. Like when I was at the tail end in the restaurant industry, I knew when I was 17, I wanted to do something to do with fitness or sports. Like I knew it then. And then
right.
I let outside forces, derail that dream. And then I ended up managing restaurants for a long time. And guess what I'm doing now? I'm managing a gym and I'm coaching track and field. You know what I mean? Like the answer was already there. Sometimes people go and they soul search, and I'm like, the answer's already on the tip of your tongue. Like you're probably doing it as a hobby right now and don't
Yeah,
even realize you can turn it into something amazing.
that's like I knew from a child that I was going to be, and for me, a journalist is what I called it back then. And all I knew is I could write. I could write a story, then I'll come to school and I would share my stories that I wrote. And they were so popular. So God showed me way back then, but life showed me differently, raising children and going through all that. And now here I am. an author, and I am also a publisher. Activate Your Faith Publishing. I had a massive stroke, so I lost this side of my body, you know. So, but still, that desire is not going anywhere unless you just don't do nothing.
I am gonna clip that and send that to my sister because in 2016, one of my sisters had a brain aneurysm burst, and she lost half of her body as well. But like
Yeah.
she's still like gets depressed about it and down about it, and I'm trying to get her to get back out there because she works in education, and it's like get back out there and talk to those college kids. It's like take what happened and use it for a higher purpose, and then it'll help her feel better about it in the long term.
Oh, yes, it will. After I had the stroke, I fell down, subdural hematoma twice, went into a coma.
Wow.
God woke me up on Mother's Day, and I hit
Wow.
the ground running, and I have not stopped since. So
That's amazing.
please tell your sister Judy said it is not, don't worry about all of that. Because all that do is stop you from where you are supposed to end up. And
Yes.
now where I'm everywhere. I'm
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
love it.
oh
I
now
gotta,
let
I
me
gotta, I gotta have you on my show too, so we can get the rest of that story.
okay. Okay, well I'm now that you're on my show, you were told you never run, you never jump again. But what went through your mind when that was told to you? What's the initial reaction that you had?
The initial reaction was like most normal people would. You have this medical professional giving you a diagnosis, and you kind of take it to heart. So going back to what I mentioned about track, like deep down in my core, I'm a competitor. Right? Like
Mhm.
that's what I do. I look at everything in life, whether I'm grinding towards something or if I'm healing from something, I look at it as a competition. It's like I gotta put steps into place to make this work. So when he initially said it, my eyes filled up, with tears. Because I still have 5 kids, but at the time I had 5 small kids. They were 10, 7, 2, and twins who were 4 months old. Not to mention, I just got fired from that management job a few months prior. So now I'm trying to pivot into fitness, from the restaurant industry. And then now I'm competing in a track meet. I was doing the high jump at the ripe old age of 34. And I plant to jump. I saw white for a second. And then when I came to, my kneecap was about 5 inches up my leg. So it was, uh-oh. Are you still there? Hola. If you can still hear me, this is the downside of live streaming. Are we back? You're muted.
Keep telling your story, please, and let me fix this.
Okay. Yeah, so my kneecap was halfway, not halfway, but it was about a good 4 to 5 inches of my quadricep. And so I get to the hospital, and the doctor takes the brace off of my knee, and then looks me right in my eyes and says, "Ooh, you're never gonna run or jump again." And that hit me, like it hit me hard. Like I looked up at my now ex, and she was crying too, thinking about I'm not gonna be able to play basketball with my children. Like I'm not gonna be able to do, and I just went down that rabbit hole of being told you'll never run or jump again. It's like, dude, I'm an athlete. I do track and field. I high jump. I long jump. It was like I play basketball. I play volleyball. Like everything I do requires running and jumping. So how can I accept that? But then competitor Rob jumped out and was like, "We haven't even had the surgery yet." It's like, how is this guy gonna know how I'm gonna heal? Like, we haven't even put my kneecap back in place. So, I told them in some choice words that I'll be taking care of my healing. Said their job is to just put my knee back together. And the first 2 weeks, I maybe had a little bit of a doubt because in those first 2 weeks, the pain was excruciating. Like it was very, very tough moving around. So here I am, a 34-year-old man with a walker and a wheelchair. And as I mentioned earlier, I had just started my fitness business. So I would get to a park by the house, and a couple of my clients would meet me there early. They would get my wheelchair out of the back of the van. They'd open it up and everything. They'd help me get into the wheelchair, push me to whatever part of the park that we're going to be training at. Then we would do our training. Then they would help me pack everything up and help me get back into the car. But it was just every day. I never dwelled on what the doctor said. Every day it was when I run again, when I jump again. It's like when I compete in track again, like this is all going to happen. You all good?
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
As I said, because I'm handicapped, nobody's here with me. And so they didn't bring the charger. But hey, I made it. I made it.
Yeah, you did.
So now let's see. All right. Well, I was still listening to you from where you were. You you completed the 190 obstacle race and earned 16 gold medals. What drives you when your body wants to quit? I know what that's like. Do you
So
still have
there
that
was
problem now?
well, no. I mean, I'm always very very driven. Like if I set out to do something, it's going to happen. But there was a significant event that happened in between the first obstacle race and the knee injury, and that was about 5 months post. I was just starting to move around. Like I ran a little. It was ugly, but I ran a little. But I donated a kidney to my sister. Right. So right as I was getting the strength back in my knee, I now had my abdomen cut open to extract the kidney to save my sister. But it made sense because out of myself and all of my siblings, I was in the best shape and I controlled my schedule, so I didn't have to worry about taking time out of work or using vacation or PTO days. Like I didn't have to worry about any of that. So I was like, you know what, guys, I'll take care of it. So I mean that we could do an entire episode just on that story alone. But so we fast forward, and as we're prepping for the surgery, I found out that there's an obstacle race. This was the surgery was May 26th of 2011, and there was an obstacle race coming up in September. And I was like, you know what? I said, I think I'm gonna make that my comeback race. And the surgeon was like, no. He's like I don't think that's enough time. He's like, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, I wasn't asking your permission. I'm telling you, I'm doing that obstacle race second weekend in September. Like it's happening. And he's like, all right. He's like, I know I'm not going to talk you out of it, but just know I don't think you should do it. But I went and I did it. And I'll be honest with you, halfway through it, I was like, this is stupid. Because like I had just gotten into fitness and then I dealt with two major surgeries. So the race was a little tough because I wasn't in peak conditioning. But it was after that race, right? And how this translates into everyday life. Like you build resilience by doing hard stuff or going through hard times. So going through that, once the muscles healed and everything, I was like, you know what? I can train better. I can work out harder. I can add different things into my training regimen. And I was like, you know what? When's the next one? And so I signed up for another one 2 weeks later. And then I did another one. I think it was like 2 weeks after that one. And after that, I was hooked. I think the next year I did 15. And then the year after that, I did 27. And in the meantime, I've had surgery after surgery. Like I've had 7 total surgeries, but none of them stopped me from getting back out there. Like quickly, when I had my shoulder done in 2015, and same thing. It was the day before Thanksgiving in 2015, and while I'm in the hospital, I have my laptop out booking a race at the end of April, and the nurse comes in and she's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, booking a race in April," and she's like, "How far is that?" I said 14 miles, and she's like, you might not be ready then. I said, "That's not an option. It's not an option for me. It's like I'm going to be ready." And I did it. I did the race, and like I had the surgery, I did the race, and I completed every obstacle. I didn't have to skip anything, because people have to understand healing begins in the mind. It begins
Yes,
in the mind. It's the doctor's job to stitch you back together. You're
right.
in control of how you heal. Like there are people that get told. Actually, I interviewed a guy on my show the other day. He said a friend of his was told he had 2 years to live. That was 15 years ago.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like they can't just put those types of limitations on you. It's like you put in the work, right? You dial in, you put in the work, you visualize it coming to be, and then you show up. Like you see, everything is going to fall in line. Like I know this show is very faith based, but wherever people get their faith, lean into that. Like I said, whether it's the universe, whether it's just a higher power, whether it's Islam, Buddhism, it doesn't matter what your higher purpose is
Mhm.
for you, but lean into it. Because for
That-
me, it wasn't just about me getting out there and doing this obstacle race. It was about showing people not to let people put limitations on you.
Oh, oh, that's me. Don't put no limitation on me before I can find it out for myself. That's
Exactly.
how I am about that.
Yep.
And so I had a lot of negative come out, even from some of the therapists, or I mean, they meant well, but no, as long as I am still with breath in my body, and I'm going to make sure I can move as much as I can move. So
Yes.
oh, thank you. That really motivated me even further.
Right.
Because right now, I plan on going to South Carolina, where they're going to be award ceremony and all that for our podcast.
Oh, nice.
And my first thing my family said was, "Well, I, we can't go. That's not going to be a good time for us." And I'm like, "And well, you can't go ride the plane by yourself. Why not?"
Mm.
I because I'm going to be further along than I am now. We talking about 3, 4 months. So if
Yeah.
I'm this good now, can you imagine I'm being on that plane?
You just had the stroke 4 months ago?
Huh?
I said you just had the stroke 4 months ago?
No, 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 no.
Oh,
It's
oh, oh.
oh
I'm about to
no,
say, wow.
no, no, no. It's been years,
Oh, okay.
years. So here we are. We're not. We've got to talk about you donating your kidney to your sister. How did that happen?
All right, so it was Christmas of 2009, right? So it's Christmas, kids are playing with toys, cooking dinner, parents stop by to give the grandkids gifts. It was just a normal Christmas night. Then the phone rings. I see it's my sister. Figure if she's calling to talk to my kids, I'll talk to my niece and nephew. Wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. But when I answer the phone, because I'm always like all bubbly, I'm like, "Hey sis, how's it going?" But her voice didn't match my energy. Right? Her voice was very somber, and so I was like, "Uh oh, what's going on?" And so she tells me she had pain in her leg, and the pain was bad enough to where she went to the ER to get checked out. And when they ran all the tests, they found that her kidneys were only at 10% function, and that she was more than likely going to need a transplant. She had some type of rare kidney disease. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I just remember her saying that she was going to need a donor. And I said, well, let's do it, because like I mentioned earlier, no, I was in control of my situation, so I could do that. I can still teach my classes and still have income coming in. Like I didn't have to, like I wasn't punching a time clock or anything. I was running my own fitness business. So the worst part of it was, now mind you, that was Christmas of 2009. The transplant wasn't until May 26th of 2011. Okay, so we
Oh,
went through the first round of testing. I had to go down to Manhattan because that's where the procedure was going down, and she ended up getting sick with a virus, and so we couldn't do the transplant until the virus was gone, and it took a year before the virus was fully out of her system. So
oh,
that's why we had to wait that long. And in the meantime, like you have to go for regular visits. They have to draw blood, and you got to do a 24-hour urine sample. So I had to go to New York multiple times in that year, just to make sure that nothing changed with me. And in the meantime, it was rough for her because dialysis was making her sick. So
oh,
she actually skipped it a couple times. I'm like, you can't, like you skip, you're gonna die. I'm like you can't skip. I'm like, help is coming. You just gotta persevere a little longer. So fortunately, she was able to persevere, and then they kept sending like therapists and like kidney counselors to come and talk to me. I was like, I don't want to talk to any of you. And they're like, why? I said, because you're gonna say something that's gonna make me doubt. I was like,
yeah,
and I don't want to doubt, especially if we have to wait this long. I don't want that doubt swirling in my head. It's like I just want
right.
to let's just get it done and get it done. Because people were saying, well, what happens if something happens to your other kidney? And it's like, in this moment, you don't think about that, right? You don't think about that. In this moment, she needs help, or else she's gonna
Right.
lose her life at a young age. It's like,
Right.
no. I was like, I don't want to talk to, I don't want to know any risks. I don't want to know any of that stuff. And so the one thing that the surgeon did say that I did question, because I know in the past they used to cut through the back to extract the kidneys, and he said that they're working on, well, they're studying a new procedure where they take it out through the belly button. He's like, and the scar will only be like this big. And I'm like, how are you
Oh,
going to get the kidney out of something this big, right? But I guess the abdomen's very stretchy. And so my
right.
question was, my question was, how new? How new is this? Like, I don't want to be like the third patient. he, right? He's like, no, no. He's like, I've done well over 100 of these. The healing time, that's why I did it, because he said the healing time is like cut by 60%, like going
Oh,
through the belly button. So I was like, you know what? Game on. Let's do it. If I can be a part of bettering science, then let's do it. Going back to making it bigger than yourself.
right. Oh my God. The belly button?
Yeah, like when I look at it, because sometimes I forget that it's even there. It's so small. Unlike the one on my knee scar is like 7 inches.
Yeah,
So that
I
one I
don't
can't
have
I
to.
can't miss. Yep. So
Oh,
that one
wow.
that I can't miss.
Was okay. So, what about losing your father? How did that change the drive that you got to give him some credit for that, right? That drive
Oh,
that
of
you
course.
said, because you talked about him like he was an incredible father.
So let me break it down this way. So
Okay.
as I said earlier about watching my siblings get their awards and all that. So when my turn finally came to start winning, I'm like, "Hey, Dad, I placed. Like, what'd you get? I got sixth. It's like, how come you didn't get top three? Hey, Dad, I got third. All right, how come you didn't win? All right, hey, Dad, I won. Did you break the record? You know,
Oh,
hey dad, I broke the record. Did you qualify for New England? Like it was never settled. It was never settled. See, and again, when you're getting wisdom from someone, you have two choices. It's like you can just dismiss it and try to go your own way, or you can lean into it and try to find a bigger message. You know, 'cause I'm all about making things bigger than yourself. And the bigger message there was you're capable of more. Don't settle. It's like be happy that you got six, but don't settle for that. You know, work harder so you can get into the top three. Now work harder so you can win. Like work harder so you can become elite. You know, so he was the one that really drove that. So in losing him, now this is gonna sound weird. No, this is gonna sound like a weird take on the grief story. But when he was 70, right, he was 79 when he passed. When he was 70, I came up with the idea. I'm like, why do people wait till people are dead before they
yeah,
say nice things about them? So we had a family reunion, and I said we should get a cake and we should do like a living eulogy where everybody will come up to the microphone and we tell this man what he means to us while he's here, right? I'm like, let's do that. So from that moment, I was kind of mentally prepared. Like my grandfather was 80 when he passed. My grandfather's brother was 84. And outside of those two, most everyone else died in the late 60s or 70s. Right. So
mm,
I started mentally preparing when he turned 70. So when we ultimately lost him, like I was the first one in the family because we're all in the hospital because he had slipped into a coma after open heart surgery. And everyone's like, you know, when he wakes up, when he wakes up, when he wakes up. I was the first one to say, what do we do if he doesn't? It's like that's a real possibility. Like I'm all about faith, but we also have to understand that death is part of life. You know, so
yeah,
maybe this is his time. Because he always said, right, to be frank, he would have sucked as an old man. Absolutely. Because he liked to build. He was always in his garage. If he was like wheelchair bound or on oxygen or whatever, that would not have been a good quality of life for him. It
no,
would not. Like he said that himself. Ever since I can remember him in his 50s talking like that. He's like once I can't build anymore, that's it. That's it. And he pretty much
uh-huh.
almost called it, right? He almost called it because the day before he went to the hospital for the surgery, he and my son fixed my mom's car. He was out there till 1 o'clock in the morning. Like my son, I think he had to leave at like 10 or so. And he's like, Grandpa, I'll stay. It was either he had school or work in the morning, one of those two, probably work. And so he had my son go home, and he himself stayed out there as a man with stage 4 heart failure, and he made sure that my mom's car was finished before he came inside. He came inside at 1 a.m. and they had to leave at 4:15 to drive to Hartford, Connecticut for his open heart surgery. You know, so like that, but right to the very end, he made sure stuff got done. So losing him was awful. You know, so
Yeah,
but it was awful from our side. For him, for him, we had 3 generations around him. So they were able to unsedate him enough to where he could hear us. So now he
mm,
had all kinds of tubes and stuff in him, so he couldn't talk, but he could nod his head, he could shake his head. So all of us, there was at least a dozen of us there. So all of us got to take turns and say goodbye. And then my mom, this always gets me choked up. And then my mom sang their like sweetheart song to him, you know. And then we gave the okay to end the care, and he died in probably 40 seconds. Like he died so fast. But just watching that, it's like I'll never unsee it. I'll never unsee it. But I'm grateful that he had such an amazing ending. You know, because some people, like, to put it in perspective, one of my gym clients, her father just suddenly dropped dead at 62 years old. You know what I mean? That's like getting hit in the face with a frying pan. It's like we at least had time to prepare for it. Like we kind of knew, all right, this is his time. Like he's being called home. So,
and
but
and
when it comes to, go ahead,
I'm
go
just
ahead.
thinking. he died as he lived.
Yeah,
Your father
absolutely.
with his.
It's like I can never get through that whole thing without the emotions kicking in at some point, and that's okay. That's okay. Like when I'm working with aspiring speakers, it's like that's how you know you're speaking from the heart. That's
Yeah,
how you know. Look, like when you can still talk about that moment and still feel the emotion, it's okay. And especially for the men listening, it's okay to cry. Okay, you're not weak. If it was weak for men to cry, we wouldn't have tear ducts. Okay, so it's okay.
that's right. That's right. So how did you become a speaker? Um, you are a speaker, right? Didn't I
Yes.
see speaker? Yeah. What made you go into that field?
The feeling of watching people have a breakthrough is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I was kind of already doing this. Like I started managing restaurants at 15. So I was in leadership at a young age. I became a general manager at 19. So leading team meetings and sales meetings and kitchen meetings, doing new rollouts, new menu item rollouts. Like I was constantly up in front of people anyway. So I already had the raw skills. But there's a difference between speaking and storytelling. And where I made that jump was in April of 2017. Are you familiar with Eric Thomas, the motivational speaker?
What's this name?
Eric Thomas?
No.
No? Okay. Okay, he's one of the big dogs out there of the motivational speakers. He gets like $150,000 per speech. Like he's such a
Yeah.
dynamic and passionate speaker. So I
I'm,
went
I'm,
to one
I'm
of his.
I'm with Les Brown. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, those two. Les Brown was like Eric Thomas's mentor. So
Okay.
So that's good. All right. So I went to his speaker boot camp in Atlanta, Georgia, 2017. And Eric Thomas wasn't there on the first day, but he was there on the second day. And I got to say, this event was at a $10 million mansion in the Buckhead section of Atlanta. Like, beautiful, beautiful place. Oh, man. And so I knew Eric Thomas was there on day two, and I was scheduled to speak on day two. So I was like, I got to make sure I bring the fire, right? Because I'm going to speak in front of one of the best speakers in the world. And so I get up there. Now, they only gave us 10 minutes to speak because there were 41 of us, to be fair. That's why
Yeah.
it was split up in between 2 days. So, although I do want to throw in, I paid $3,000 for that event. Now, imagine $3,000 times 41. I was like, I got to get on the other side of that. It's like, wow, that's a lot of money. But anyways, side note. So I get up there for the 10 minutes and I'm doing my thing. I'm animated. I'm making eye contact. I'm projecting, right? My story is clear and I'm thinking I rock the house. But the real lesson didn't come during that weekend. The real lesson came when I flew back into Boston and I'm on my drive back down to Rhode Island. My phone rings. It's CJ, Eric Thomas's CEO. And so he's like, "Hey, Roberts, wanted to thank you for coming down to the event. It was great listening to you." He's like, "I can tell." Well, actually, he said, "You were far and away the best speaker there." No, I'm sorry. He said most polished. He said most polished speaker there. But then he
Okay.
paused, right? Then he paused, and it's never good when they pause. So he said,
No.
"But you're my most frustrating type of student." And I was like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I was like, okay, I'm all ears. He says, your story was so polished that there was no emotion in it. And then he gave me an example. Like I mentioned earlier, I got fired from my management job. So Kelly was pregnant with the twins when I lost my management job. She was 7.5 months pregnant. So he's like, you talked about getting fired from your job and going home and talking to your wife. He's like, and you just glossed over that. He's like, there was a lot in there. He's like, when your boss handed you your last check, he's like, what was your first thought? He's like, when you walked out of that restaurant, what was the feeling when you got in your car? He's like, did you just start up and drive it? Did you sit there and reflect at all? And like, and I'm just taking this all in, like, like mind blown, because I figured I wanted to stuff as much information into the 10 minutes as I could, where I probably should have just taken one story and expanded it and gave the
Okay.
details, right? And gave the details. So he said he said Eric was probably the worst speaker there. But if you remember, everybody had tears in their eyes because his story was heart wrenching. He just wasn't the best at telling it, but his story was heart wrenching. He's like, everyone who was there felt his story. He's like, we heard your story. He's like, if you want to be a paid speaker, people need to feel your story.
The story.
And then that's when I made the shift to becoming a storyteller versus a speaker.
Yes. That is, and that is what I am. I'm a storyteller. I'm not a speaker. I've been a storyteller since I was very young, and I've never heard it said like that. Thank you, Robert.
My pleasure. Yeah, if that one phone call, like that one phone call was worth the $3,000 I paid for the event. So that one phone
Yes,
call changed everything. So now when I'm working with people, I help them take their stories and put it into like an actual storytelling form. Like going back to my dad, like my dad dying and everything that I shared, that's not the story. The story begins the second we leave the room. That's when the
yes,
story begins. The elevator ride down, the walk in the parking lot to the car, the drive back home. Like, there's so many emotions that happened in that period. Walking back into the house, my mom walking into the house without him after 53 years. you know,
right.
going through his stuff. Because as an engineer, one thing I will say, if he had a flaw, he was a pack rat. This dude did not throw away anything. He's like, you never know when I'm gonna need it. He's like, you never know when I'm gonna need it. And so, but just going through all of his stuff and then just accepting the fact that he was gone. It's like that's the part of the story. Someone who just lost someone, their grief is fresh. That's what they want to hear. They want to hear, how did you turn the page? And
Yeah,
that's what the story. A lot of people just get so stuck on what happened and they don't
right.
talk about how did that not break you. That's the story.
Yes. And see, with me being a developmental consultant, that is what I help people to get to the story, the
Yeah.
realness of what they're wanting to write about. And so I've been told that I'm pretty good at doing that, but you just made it very clear of what I actually do.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Yeah, like
That's deep.
I was talking with my mom the other day and I was sharing the story of a woman that I worked with. And because like I was explaining to her the difference. Like you have your core story and then you have other stories that you weave through your course. So, like, how many different stories have I told you in the last 53 minutes? So it's like you don't get stuck on just one. But my core story is being told I'd never run or jump again. But then there's other stories that spun through there as I was going through that healing journey. And you lump them all together. And notice with every story, I gave a real world application. It's like that means
Uh-huh.
like in life, if you're going through a struggle, you gotta find a purpose. Purpose is how you beat struggle. Because my alarm goes off at 4:30 every morning. And people always say, how do you get up that early? Because I have a purpose. People at the gym are waiting for me to show up. Even now, I've been at, what time is it now? It's 4:55, right? So I've been on the go for 12 and a half hours already, but I'm not tired. Why? Because I'm in my purpose. I'm here
Yeah.
sharing with your audience. Even if just one person in your audience that sees this and they're like, you know what? I need to just take the leap of faith and do that thing that I want to do. Then it's worth me being here, taking the time to share. And too many times we get stuck on the what's, right? We get stuck on the what's happened to me. Why did that happen to me? None of that matters. You can't unchange what happened. You can't unchange it. I can't bring my dad back to life. So I have to navigate this life and keep his memory alive, keep his teachings alive, keep the life lessons. Those things can stay alive. The things that he built are still here. We actually have a life-size cutout of him in his garage because he was always in that garage. So like if I have those moments, it's like I'm human, I feel stuff. So if I have those moments where I want to just go hang out with, I can just go in the garage. And you got that life size of him with that infectious smile and the drink in his hand. And you focus, it brings you to a place of positivity. So even though it started with a feeling of grief or a feeling of depression or anything of that nature, then you step into something bigger. And the legacy that he left behind was bigger than my temporary moment of sadness.
Oh, wow. Well, I hate to say we're running out of time. So
Oh
I want you
no.
to tell the viewers where they can get your book and how they can get in touch with you to learn more about what all you know.
Well, the book link is actually right here on the screen. It's the title, shutupandgrindbook.com. That'll bring you
Oh,
directly to the Amazon link, or people
okay.
just want to search for it on Amazon. To get in touch with me, email is rob at robertbfoster.com. On Facebook, you can find me at Robert B. Foster. And then Instagram is at Robert_B_Foster.
Thank you so much, Robert, and everyone. I pray that today has been better than yesterday, especially since my guest, Robert B. Foster, has been here. And I pray that it will be, tomorrow will be greater in whatever, whatever. Robert has told you so many things about, and shut up and grind. Now, I'm the one saying shut up and grind, y'all, but, you know, Robert says it a little differently. But the bottom line is what, Robert, before we go?
The bottom line is to just is to believe in yourself. Like life is gonna happen to everybody, right? Nobody just goes through life without any struggle, without any pain, without any loss. Nobody does. But you, again, no matter what happens, you got to make it bigger than you, right? When you're stuck on you, that's when you get stuck on the hamster wheel of self doubt, limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, all those things, because you're stuck on you. When you have a purpose, now you have to show up, right? People with a purpose don't struggle with doubt because they know what needs to be done. You are on a mission. You have a
Yes.
vision. People always say you got to find your why. You got to find your purpose. Okay, you got to find your purpose because a why has a why not. Right?
Yes.
There is no counter to having a purpose. When you are in your purpose, it shows. People light up. They sit up taller. Like you can see it in their smile. You can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their actions. Right? People who are on a mission with a solid purpose, you can't stop that person. No matter what happens in life, you cannot be stopped. And that's what I want the big takeaway to be is stop living in doubt, stop living in fear. Whatever that thing is that you want to do, take the leap and go do it. And go do it. If I never started this podcast, right? Because at first I thought there's Joe Rogan, there's celebrities, there's professional athletes. Like, who's going to listen to me? Right. And now my show, I'm booking into the end of March, right? I'm booking 7 months out with fabulous guests from all over the world. And guesting opportunities, I have 40 of them lined up. I was told
Oh,
by a speaker coach, I would not be taken seriously if I show up in a tank top. But I also believe in authenticity. I'm a fitness coach, I'm a competitor, and I'm an athlete. This is what I wear. So after Everything I've said this last hour, if you're worried about my tank top, you are not paying attention to the message and the reason and the purpose why I showed up here tonight.
For real. That's real talk. Okay, that's it. Okay. So, okay, everybody, please don't leave Robert for a minute. Let me get off the air, and I'll see you all tomorrow, same time.